In the gleaming, sterilized, almost dehumanized atmosphere of a labor ward, at 8:47 and 8 seconds precisely, Wendy Allison breathes her first tiny lungful of air and joins the human march into history. She's Wendy Allison, a personage in her own right. So, from the very first, all the details attending her entrance into this world are carefully recorded. Because being Wendy Allison, and not, say, Mary Jane, is going to be very important. Although, of course, she doesn't know that just yet. Wendy Allison hasn't made the acquaintance of her parents either, not really, and they haven't seen her. Her mother, when she sees her for the first time, will think she's the most beautiful thing in the world. Father, well, he might even wonder whether there's been some mistake. But there's no mistake. The nursery sister and labor ward sister check that she is indeed human and normal. Sex, weight, length, all these things are checked and recorded. And in the days that follow, her progress will be charted. But all Wendy Allison knows of the world is that it consists purely of physical sensations, some of which are pleasant and some unpleasant. When they're unpleasant, she cries, and sooner or later the unpleasantness will be attended to. Although she's been initiated into a methodical approach to looking after baby, and although she can do things skillfully enough under supervision, Mother isn't quite so sure of herself when the time comes to go home. With a baby in the house, the old routines will be gone forever. The hospital seems so reassuring. Yet on the eve of Wendy Allison's birth, it had been a little frightening. In less than a fortnight, it becomes as familiar as home, and her ward mates old friends. Now, when she says goodbye, there's an odd sense of insecurity. Thank heaven for Father. In all conscience, he's been so shy and embarrassed standing by the nursery window staring at his daughter, he's probably quite useless. All the same, it's a relief to have him here. At least he's not the sort to panic if things go wrong. Or is he? And there's another thing that's somehow unsettling. The hospital routine going on as though she'd never been part of the life of the place. No one even notices she's going home. This only serves to emphasize that feeling of being on her own. A few more formalities, and the last ties with the hospital will be severed. Father finds this vaguely distasteful. It's too much like signing a receipt for goods delivered, and baby isn't goods. She's Wendy Allison. She's his daughter. His daughter. That's an idea he's got to get used to. For the first time as they leave the hospital, the realization that he's now a family man suddenly hits him hard. It's a heavy responsibility for a man to bear. Thank heaven for Mother, so calm and confident. He must hide his own misgivings. And it's a sweet misunderstanding if she misreads that clasp of the hand as reassurance. At least there's one department in which neither has any worries. They're fortunate enough to live in an area that has a municipal emergency housekeeper service. These services are subsidized by the government, just as well. Normally, Father couldn't afford a housekeeper, even for the critical first few weeks. But the fees for the municipal service are within their means. So it's a blessed relief not only to be coming home, but to find that domestic matters are well in hand. This means that while Mother is settling Wendy Allison into her new home and herself into a new routine, she's relieved of the necessity of choosing and cooking meals and doing the housework. Then gradually she'll work into a new routine where baby and domestic chores mesh together like clockwork. Father will help, of course. Among other things, he'll have to keep Wendy Allison amused. He mustn't be easily discouraged either, because baby amusing is an art that can only be acquired by experience. Having a baby in the house is a joint responsibility and a joint pleasure. It won't always be easy. There'll be times when they'll be short on sleep and when nerves will get a little raw along the edges. Father will take a hand in washing up and scrubbing floors, and obviously he'll do his share of cooking. The man who can't boast about his cooking is light on conversation at a party nowadays anyway. You see, being a family means being a team. And so the first night is weathered. And wonder of wonders, not a peep out of Wendy Allison all night, which isn't quite as satisfactory as it might sound, because her parents slept fitfully, wondering whether in the dark, heavy silence all was well. Father goes off to work wearing the responsibilities of the family man. As he makes his way through the crowds pouring out of Flinders Street station, each individual hemmed in by his own little affairs, he hopes that the world at large will look upon him and recognize him for the truly remarkable character that he is, the father of a daughter. Of course, no one looks twice. Later, that same morning, Mother makes her first solo flight, so to speak. To begin with, the bath. Her mind is a whirl with do's and don'ts. But she finds herself automatically doing the right thing, just as they showed her at the hospital, putting the cold water in baby's tub first, for example, and then bringing it up to the required heat, instead of the other way around. She boils the water instead of taking it from the hot water service, because the pipes may have become furred and the water chemically affected. Then she adds the freshly boiled water until the temperature is right. And Grandma's elbow test is still as good as any. Now Wendy Allison can be taken from her cot. Mother runs over the procedure in her mind. Yes, she's pretty sure she hasn't forgotten anything. She's put a basket under the table for the dirty clothes. That's something she might have forgotten, but hasn't. And so she gets on with the job. It's surprising how in just a week or two she's mastered the technique of getting Wendy Allison out of her uncomfortable wet clothes with the minimum of fuss and bother. It's all a matter of putting her into the right position in the right sequence, and they come away easily. Yes, we know you're hungry, darling, but first things first, bath before breakfast. You'd think Wendy Allison's heart was breaking, but Mother's hardened herself to that. She knows that crying provides some physical exercise. All the same, she mustn't be too casual about crying. She must be quite sure of the cause, because, after all, crying is baby's only way of announcing that something's wrong, or that she needs attention. Just now, it's food, and that'll come in good time. Well, everything's going fine so far. Now let's make quite sure we have everything. Washers, soap, oil, cotton wool, talcum. Check. And now the real business of bathing can begin. First of all, her face. No, darling, it's not feeding time yet. Careful washing, no soap, notice. Then careful drying, by patting, not rubbing. Next comes her scalp. Mother doesn't use any old soap because a baby's skin is very, very tender. The gentle massage helps prevent cradle cap, too. And although it'll be some time before the fontanelle or soft spot in the skull closes up, the massage won't hurt the brain. It's quite well protected. Then all the soap must be washed off. That's right, no water running into her ears. Keep her head down so that there's no chance of soap getting into her eyes. Now, not so much fuss. You know you like this. Drying her scalp is a matter of patting and gentle rubbing. Once again, the massage motion stimulates the circulation and keeps the scalp healthy. Now we soap up again. This soaping is very thorough. Mother carefully rubs the soap well into all the creases: neck, armpits, elbows, wrists, fingers, toes, knees, groin. All the places where skin irritation could occur. Now this might be interesting. Yes, the water feels lovely. What about my food? Now just be patient. Mother isn't going to be stampeded into fumbling or scamping the job. Now, once we've got this soap off and some nice, crisp, dry, clean clothes on, we're going to be much happier. This is going to be a bit undignified, but it's the classical method. A towel, a warm towel, then more gentle patting and rubbing to dry thoroughly. Before she dresses Wendy Allison, Mother will put some dabs of olive oil in the skin creases, and then some talcum powder, only the lightest dusting of talcum. And now we're getting to the final stages. Now, Wendy Allison, it's feeding time at last. It won't take a few moments for the preliminaries, a clock and a glass of water. Both are adjuncts to breastfeeding. Mother will need to take at least 1 glass of water before or after each feeding, and she might need a drink during feeding. Wendy Allison's mother has decided on breastfeeding because she realizes that it's best in the long run for both baby and herself. It's cheaper, there's no preparing and cleaning bottles, the chances of infection are reduced, and above all, it consolidates the deepest and most important of all human relationships, that of mother and child. Wendy Allison's balanced emotional development will stem from this relationship. And now Wendy Allison has no quarrel at all with life, although she will have if she's put down right away. She'll soon complain of a windy tummy because she sucked in a lot of air too. So she must be, let's not quibble, she must be burped. And gentle rubbing, not patting, does the trick. At last, she sinks into blissful sleep. Now, sun and fresh air added to mother's attentions give Wendy Allison that first necessity of a happy life, robust health. The whole street has a proprietary interest in the newcomer. The postie delivers progress bulletins with the bills. She'll be all right there for a while, but remember, the sun may get a little hot later. Meanwhile, father continues to take his new responsibilities seriously. They mean more than just helping with the chores and holding Wendy Allison while mother performs some job or other. Being a family man now, he must be prepared for contingencies. Money has a new meaning. That counter lunch at the hotel, for instance, that used to run away with £1 or more each week. That pound doesn't come so easily now. Well, he can take a cut lunch to the office and brew some tea. That saves quite a few shillings. Despite the social service benefits, babies cost money. Not that they're an extravagance. Already father feels that the satisfactions of parenthood are cheaply bought, even though the budget is getting tighter. Wendy Allison will grow up. He'll take a pride in seeing her well-dressed and well-fed. There'll be her education, too. And he mustn't overlook the fact that they want more than one child. He'll want to do the best he can for his family. So if he feels some resentment that the typist can afford to go out and eat in chic espresso bars, he remembers Wendy Allison snugly tucked away at home and realizes the economy is well worthwhile. Already he's looking forward to the day when she'll be ready for toys. In fact, if a little brother or sister doesn't come along, Wendy Allison's going to be thoroughly spoilt, that's for sure. And there's another economy he can make. Cigarettes. They'll cost a bit of a struggle. He's always been a fairly heavy smoker. Not so long since, he could throw around a few shillings here, a note or two there, and not think twice about it. Now he'll have to budget for every shilling. May as well work out the situation then. There's nothing much in the bank after furnishing Wendy Allison's room, less than £1 in the pocket. By the end of the week, there'll be quite a few bills to meet. He runs through them, jots them down. Not so good. The few pounds here and the few pounds there didn't appear to add up to much at the time, but there are quite a few items of a few pounds here and a few pounds there. Yes, it's certainly going to take a bit of juggling. Oh, well, it'll all work out somehow in the end. He's made up his mind that it will. Fatherhood involves other anxieties, too. It'll be some time before he can settle into relaxed nights. In his subconscious mind, there's an awareness of the helplessness of that tiny bundle of life. There's an instant of panic when he wakes to find his wife missing and cries coming from the nursery. There's something seriously wrong, surely. No, it's quite natural for babies to cry at night. All the same, that crying was different. No, just a bit of wind. Didn't sound like wind to him. Well, she'll take Wendy Allison to the Infant Welfare Centre tomorrow. That should satisfy him, shouldn't it? If Mother has any doubts at all about her management of baby or about her progress, the Infant Welfare Centre is there to set her right. Now, perhaps that silly man will be satisfied. Wendy Allison is doing fine. No feeding troubles, weight and length just a little better than need be. But mother's satisfaction is something beyond that. It's good to know that she's been doing the right thing. She's giving Wendy Allison the best possible start in life. Mother never really had any doubts, but that man of hers is sure to be worrying his silly head off at the office, making all sorts of terrible mistakes in his work. So she tells him the reassuring news right away. Sister says Wendy Ann's the fittest baby she's seen in months. There now, isn't that something to be proud of? Proper care in every aspect of baby's first weeks on Earth have certainly paid off.